The husband, who has been married for 10 years, met his first love, Bai Yueguang, again. As a result, Bai Yueguang had a car accident, and the memory stayed at the moment when they fell in love. She smiled and pointed to the wedding ring in my husband's hand. Aren't you going to propose to me? Why did you put it on first? My husband took off the wedding ring in his hand distressedly. Yes, would you like to marry me? As his married wife, I took the initiative to take off my wedding ring and send it to her. Later, he knelt in front of me and begged me not to leave. 1. On the anniversary of the 10th wedding anniversary, Shen Luang did not show anything as before. I don't ask for it either. After all, it's okay to get married and live in this form. But that day, he went out very early and his whereabouts were strange. I found that he shaved his beard clean and sprayed perfume in a rare way in his bathroom. I have a bad feeling. The woman's sixth sense told me that Shen Luang had someone outside. Later, my mother-in-law called. She saw Shen Luang in the people's hospital and asked me who was sick. I picked up my bag and tried to calm down my uneasy mood and went out. Coincidentally, as soon as I entered the emergency hall, I saw Shen Luang queuing up with the payment slip. I subconsciously stepped back and hid behind the pillar. I followed him all the way to the ward. Through the glass, I saw the person lying in it. It turned out to be Shen Luang's first love 10 years ago, Song Zi. She is a well-known dancer who often flies all over the world. Once upon a time, it was because they got together less and left more that the relationship came to an end. I have seen it once on TV. Song Zi is beautiful and out of the ordinary, like a high white swan. At that moment, I felt a little inferior. Such a good person, and Shen Luang deserves to be such a beautiful person. I was immersed in memories, and suddenly I was pulled back to reality by the cry from inside. Shen Luang, I'm sorry. I must take your feelings into account and reduce foreign performances. I didn't mean to be absent that time. I know you have been preparing for a long time to propose to me, but that performance is related to my dancing career. Don't be angry. Shen Luang's body stiffened slightly for a moment. He softly comforted Song Zi. Then he talked to the doctor standing aside. Song Zi had a car accident and injured his head, causing his memory to stay on the day when Shen Luang was going to propose to her 10 years ago. Song Zi missed the appointment that day. Because of a temporary performance, even the mobile phone was taken away by the agent. Therefore, Shen Luang was so angry that he proposed to me. Shen Luang looked back at Song Zi, and the emotions in his eyes were a little complicated. The next moment, I knocked on the door and strode in. Shen Luang looked at me with a little angry eyes. I faced the difficulties, took Shen Luang's arm, turned my head and looked at Song Zi with a smile. She is really beautiful, even lying on the hospital bed. Hello, Miss Song. I've heard of your name. I'm Shen Luang's wife. I stretched out my hand to shake her hand, but it was empty. She looked at Shen Luang in a panic, as if she wanted him to deny what I had just said. After all, Shen Luang, a famous slut in Jiangcheng, also has a lot of female fans. And I'm also an ordinary surprise. Song Zi smiled and pointed to the wedding ring in my husband's hand. Aren't you going to propose to me? Why did you put it on first? My husband was full of distress and took off the wedding ring in his hand. Yes, will you marry me? Hearing this sentence, Shen Luang's thoughts fluttered, as if he had returned to the marriage proposal 10 years ago. At this moment, he is also struggling in his heart. If God gives him a chance to turn back, he must be impatient. I expected Shen Luang's behavior. He calmly pushed me away and stared at the white moonlight hidden in the tip of his heart all the way. Shen Luang, who is she? 2. She is just one of my admirers and often pesters me. Regardless of the love between husband and wife for 10 years, he coldly spit out 2 words to me. Get out. Before leaving, I did not hesitate to take off the wedding ring that I had worn for many years and put it on Shen Luang's hand. Things returned to the original owner. Song Zi and Shen Luang used to be a famous couple in Jiangda. They were talented and beautiful. The 2 of them had been together for 5 years. There was an economic crisis in Shen Luang's family. Song Zi was shaken and wanted to break up with Shen Luang. Shen Luang couldn't accept it and drank all day long to relieve his worries. Later, Shen Luang carefully planned a marriage proposal ceremony in order to make peace. Song Zi didn't come, and the marriage proposal ceremony became a breakup ceremony. At that time, I had a crush on Shen Luang for a long time. Unfortunately, I was just an ordinary girl who was very different from Shen Luang. On the day of the marriage proposal ceremony, I happened to be at the scene. I inquired about Shen Luang's itinerary in advance, thinking that I would die after watching the marriage proposal ceremony. Fate played tricks on me, but I became the heroine. In order not to make a fool of him, he also wanted to make Song Zi angry. The delicate and shiny pigeon egg was put on my hand. At that time, many media were present. Shen Luang didn't plan to marry me, but later he made a fuss all over the city. Under the pressure of public opinion, Shen Luang married me into the door. After getting married, he never had a good face. He always speaks coldly and never looks at me. Even the meal was waiting for me to eat, and then he went downstairs. At first, I took a chance and tried to get close to him to see if I could warm him. He swallowed all the ridicule of him into his stomach, and endured great grievances and booed him. I wanted to save him from the abyss of the relationship with Song Zi. I did a lot, but in the end the bamboo basket was empty. After 10 years of suffering, I also lost 10 years of youth. Song Zi came back and I may be about to give up. Shen Luang's cold words just now have made me cold from head to end. I know that I have lost completely. Shen Luang returned sadly, and he didn't see anyone for a few days. After thinking for a long time, I put the signed divorce agreement on his desk and left. After returning to the old house for a few days, the mobile phone still didn't move. Even the last sentence I sent, "Let's divorce." I haven't received a reply. There was no news from Shen Luang, but Song Zi's friend request came from WeChat. After passing, she didn't even say hello and immediately posted a moment's message. If time can stand still, I hope it can stop 10 years ago forever. The picture is a selfie of her leaning on Shen Luang's shoulder. Shen Luang is wearing the same sweater I bought last year. Some are ironic and some are ridiculous. My fingers were slightly stiff, and I turned down with heartache. There is another one in front, which is the emerald necklace that Song Zi took on my birthday this year. It turned out that they had already moved back as soon as I left. Shen Luang didn't ask where I went. Song Zi also successfully regarded herself as a hostess. Their love is like a loving couple who have been married for many years, and I am like an outsider who has never appeared. Later, the circle of friends was full of love, and there was also Song Zi's birthday. The table is full of exquisite dishes, which I have never seen before. It doesn't look like a nanny's cooking. I didn't know until I looked through it carefully. It turned out to be Song Zi's favorite Cantonese cuisine. It turned out that for her, a young master like Shen Luang, who didn't touch Yang Chunshui, could also cook by himself. After 10 years of marriage, Shen Luang didn't even pour me a glass of water. Every late night when he came back drunk for socializing, it was me who endured sleepiness and kept cooking porridge for him in the kitchen. Take care of him until dawn. I remember one Valentine's Day one year, and I didn't want to go out to eat. Shen Luang asked me what I wanted to eat, and I asked him to learn how to make tiramisu for me. He agreed on the surface, but turned around and let the nanny downstairs do it. This is really just a manifestation of love and not love. 3. On the weekend, I went back to Shan's house to get things and chose to go back when there was no one at home. I went back and looked around but I couldn't find my things. I didn't know until I asked the nanny. The day after I left, Shen Luang asked the servant to pack all my things and throw them into the trash can, which has already been disposed of. I stood at the door with a smile helplessly, at a loss. After a while there was a burst of laughter behind him. Song Zi and Shen Luang came in hand. The moment they saw me they both stopped smiling. Song Zi looked embarrassed. "Shen Luang, why did she come to your house?" Shen Luang looked at me with cold eyes and he was stunned in place. Then it was broken by Song Zi's voice. "But this lady looks kind-faced, so she should listen to the advice." Shen Luang avoided my sight and turned his head to respond to her. "Well, you go in first. I'll make it clear to her that she won't bother us anymore." Song Zi smiled slightly and then nodded. "Okay, you have to talk to her well. After all, she is a girl." I pursed my lips and lowered my head a little uneasy. Song Zi went straight into the door. I looked around the garden, and the hydrangea I planted personally had been eradicated, and the fragrant lilies were planted. In the blink of an eye, Song Zi had changed into a home clothes and came out with a flower-watering one. She looked like a hostess, carefully taking care of the lilies in the garden. "Shen Luang, you have a good memory. Do you still remember that I like lilies?" Shen Luang responded to her with a smile. Suyang, come in with me. Just now I haven't noticed that the leather sofa in the living room is full of all kinds of rag dolls. I once said that I wanted to buy some rag dolls to decorate, but Shen Luang refused. He said that the dolls on the sofa imported from Italy don't match. I buried my head in silence. I followed him all the way into the study. The study is already full of photos of their love, and the transparent bookcase is also full of cartoon patterns belonging to girls. And that painting used to be just a cold abstract painting. Now it has changed to a warm and lovely girl's illustration style. I have long wanted him to change it because every time I walk in I feel a chill in my back. But Shen Luang never agreed. He said that I didn't know how to appreciate art. For a moment I was in a trance. It turned out that he was not in a trance. It's because he doesn't want to listen to me. He is only willing to cater to Song Zi's preferences. She agreed to whatever she liked and wanted. The wedding room where I used to be full of joy has also become a wedding dress for others. There was a pain in my chest. I thought I would be very uncomfortable. But after the pain it returned to calm, and there was no feeling. I knew from the beginning that Shen Luang didn't marry me because he loved me. So I'm still prepared. This day will come sooner or later. Shen Luang took out the divorce agreement from the drawer and handed it to me. "Don't tell her about us. She is not in good health now. I'm afraid of something wrong, so I took her up. If you don't feel comfortable, you can ask for conditions." I looked down at the divorce agreement in my hand. He must have signed it. This dream is really over. I'll tell you when I think of it. Walking to the living room, Song Zi was practicing yoga. She looked at me with a smile. "Suyang, thank you for helping me take care of Shen Luang over the years." I smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. "You will come here often in the future. Anyway, you are also very familiar with it." I didn't respond and left without looking back. It's hard to take a taxi in the villa area. I stood in the scorching sun for a long time with my mobile phone and didn't wait for the bus. After a while, Shen Luang came out with an umbrella. Let me see you off. 4. I shook my head and refused. He approached me, but I instinctively retreated. Suyang, I know you are angry. I know you are just living here temporarily. The house on Binjiang Road is also empty. You can live there. I looked up at him. I didn't know whether the sun was dazzling or me. He frowned and felt impatient. I'm not angry. The house on Binjiang Road is too far away. Suyang, don't make trouble, okay? His brows frowned deeper. Shen Luang, you're divorced. Whatever you want. Shen Luang was a little shocked and looked at me helplessly. Haven't you signed the divorce agreement? Are you still pretending that nothing happened? In this case, let's say it's clear that 10 years have come to the end of here. The Lord is back, so I wish you a happy old age. Shen Luang didn't believe it. These words could be said out of my mouth. Yang, don't be capricious, okay? If you divorce me because of Zi, then you really don't understand me. Zi had a car accident because she came to see me, and now she has lost her memory. I can't help but take care of her. If it comes out, she will say that I'm careful. I didn't want to glare at him. I'm careful, okay? Before he answered, I added another sentence in a hurry. See you in a month, the Civil Affairs Bureau. I have to attend the company's annual meeting. I still have projects in my hand that I can't let go. I have put my heart into it. Although the project does not have feelings, it can give me a very practical benefit. Although Shen Luang is a person, I haven't covered him for 10 years. At this moment, in my eyes, he is really inferior to a project. I used to be the wife of the president, and everyone in the company knew it. In order not to let employees gossip and to realize my self-worth, I started from the grassroots level of the company and worked hard for several years before I was promoted to the vice president of the project department. Now that she and Shen Luang are about to divorce, there must be rumors in the company. Some gossip girls came to me and asked, and I responded one by one. I divorced Mr. Shen. I smiled faintly, but when I looked up, I met Shen Luang's cold eyes. He wants to stop me from spreading the news of divorce in the company. However, Song Zi beside him made him unable to move. He brought Song Zi to the company, and he was afraid that people would know about our divorce. Sometimes I really don't understand him, and I don't know what he is thinking. They passed by and attracted countless discussions. I heard the staff bowing their heads and muttering, Mr. Shen and Vice President Su have been married for 10 years. It's a pity that they are divorced. It must be this woman's third-party interference. At first glance, she is not a good person. Today, I think Vice President Su is in good shape, not like a newly divorced woman. Don't talk about it. A woman like Vice President Su wants to have a career, and she has long not looked into the eyes of men. Right. I feel the same way. She is really inspiring. My popularity is not bad. I heard it very well. It's not in vain that I'm so kind to them. Looking closely, Shen Luang's face suddenly changed. Song Zi on the side must have heard it more or less. Her beautiful face began to show a difficult color, and she couldn't suppress the embarrassment. Shen Luang's hand rubbed back and forth on her slender waist. In my opinion, he was appeasing Song Zi. Song Zi also immediately received the signal and put on a beautiful smile again. It's a little ironic that Shen Luang has never been so close to me over the years except for completing his married life. Outside, we are more like a distance relationship between superiors and subordinates. He also stood at the moral high point and kidnapped me. I'm doing it for your own good. If I'm too close to you, it's not easy for you to do things in the company. First, I thought what he said was quite reasonable. Now it seems that loving someone is instinctive, and you can't hide it. The office was a little stuffy. I took the water cup in my hand and went to the rooftop to blow the wind. After a while, a burst of high-heeled shoes came to my ears. Song Zi was a little familiar, and she sat beside me without hesitation. He also handed me a cup of steaming coffee. Let's have a cup of Americano. It's very healthy. I shook my head with a smile. Thank you. I never drink coffee. Her eyes are arrogant. That's right. A unchanging person like you hasn't won Shen Luang's heart for 10 years. She casually threw the extra cup of coffee into the trash can beside her. I sat down and touched the big waves as thick as seaweed with my hand. Suyang, leave the company. Shen Luang married you just to make me angry. Now that I'm back, you should give way. I can return the person to you, but I won't leave the company. I got up and was about to leave, but she pulled me. Suyang, why are you pretending to be tall? Without Shen Luang, you would sit in today's seat. Who do you think you are? Shen Luang just felt sorry for you. He told me that he had never loved you for a moment in 10 years, and even when he slept with you, he just regarded you as me. I'm sick. I shook off her hand. Her bright and narrow nails grabbed me fiercely, and bright red marks were pressed on my arm. Suyang, don't be ignorant of good and bad. What if you have been with him for 10 years? I made a fuss and he didn't come back to me right away. The typhoon was so strong that I fell into meditation for a moment. No matter what she said, she was swallowed up by the wind. After a moment of daze, I came back to my senses and looked straight at her. Have you finished? She stamped her feet angrily. After that, I'm leaving. I have a meeting later. I didn't look back and only heard her shouting behind me. Su Yang, as long as I come back, you are nothing. Before she stepped out of the door of the rooftop, she was heard falling heavily, accompanied by a burst of tears. I didn't look back, but I also knew that Shen Luang came from the other side. This method is too old-fashioned. I didn't care about them. It was almost time for the meeting and I strode away. As soon as I entered the office, the secretary was waiting for me inside. Jasmine, what's the matter? I saw that she looked anxious, and I had a bad premonition that it was the time of the project. Mr. Su, see for yourself. She handed me her mobile phone, which contained an email. 5. The email was sent by the board of directors, announcing my dismissal from the position of deputy general manager. Suddenly, Shen Luang's movements were too fast. I rushed into Shen Luang's office with my mobile phone in anger, but there was no one. The assistant said that Shen Luang accompanied Miss Song to the hospital. Some people also said that I had an argument with Song Zi on the rooftop in the morning and pushed Song Zi to the ground, causing her to be injured. I am really speechless. Jasmine told me about the public opinion on the internet that the board of directors dismissed me because I pushed Song Zi to have a bad influence on the company. I checked Weibo, and there was no photo of me and Song Zi standing together in the whole process. They were all alone. She fell to the ground pitifully, and I only had a vague back. What does this explain? It can show that Song Zi's fans are really powerful, Jasmine said jokingly. Maybe she bought the Navy and she's not too popular. I was amused. To be honest, I don't know much about the entertainment industry. I ignored the dismissal email and went to work normally the next day. The employees under me also knew my character. They are very supporting me. In addition, the project acceptance is imminent. No one wants to quit at this time. Besides, someone said yesterday that if I really left, they would also resign collectively. While looking at the information in the office, Jasmine was called out to buy milk tea for them. I don't know when Shen Luang came in. I only heard footsteps. I thought it was little Jasmine. Little Jasmine, have you added ice? I didn't look up and only heard Shen Luang talking strangely. Su Yang, are you so thick-skinned? He looked at me with anger on his face and gloom. Su Yang, don't forget who you can sit in today's seat. If I don't want you anymore, I can leave you with nothing every minute. I put down the information in my hand, looked into his angry eyes and said calmly, well, you are a person who ignores right and wrong, and I don't want to work in your company. Oh, by the way, I sat in today's seat, and it seems that I came up step by myself. Shen Luang was stunned and froze in place. If you are willing to apologize to Z, I won't care. I'm not going. I calmly stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. In the distance, it used to be our favorite mountain to climb together. He said that he wanted me to see these mountains and rivers every day, so he bought the company's new building here. The scene that he should have loved me suddenly appeared in my mind. Those 10 years were the happiest years of my life. But now that decade has become the biggest nightmare in my life. I was silent for a long time, and I couldn't hear the sound behind me. Shen Luang, if you have never let go of Song Zi, you can wait for her alone in place. Why should you pull me into this whirlpool? Why should I bear this? Su Yang, we have been husband and wife for 10 years. There is no love and there is more or less some family affection. I don't want to make a fuss, so I still ask you to go to the hospital to apologize to Z. You know, I'm responsible for her injury. I can't escape, otherwise what will others think of me? I laughed at his words and lowered my head and smiled softly. I never found out before that Shen Luang was so responsible. What a dare to do it. I regained my composure and answered him. It's impossible to apologize unless you give me chance. If you still have a little conscience, you should know that I have been working hard to take care of the company for you over the years. There are some things that I don't know. I don't want to break the window paper. I have evidence of your illegal bidding and the gray industry chain in my hand. If you kick me out of the company, Shen should not be back soon. It exists. Shen Luang's eyes were gloomy, and he gritted his teeth and said, You! What am I? What's wrong with me? Mr. Shen, you taught me and I will repay you. For 10 years following this business tycoon, no matter how brainless people are, they will secretly learn something. What's more, I was hurt by the scumbag and woke up. Career is, after Shen Luang and her amnesia White Moonlight played the love game, I took off the wedding ring and gave it to them to propose 39,103. Hearing the quarrel, Jasmine came in at some point. She stood beside me and pulled me. Some worries asked me, Are you okay, Mr. Su? I smiled calmly and said, I'm very good. Why are you pulling me? Jasmine smiled with interest. Aren't I afraid that you will do it? If you beat Mr. Shen, what if he sues your family? I looked at Shen Luang in my desk because someone came in and he closed his mouth. He has always had a good face. Come out with me. I ignored him and he had no choice, so I had to shake my head and leave sadly. In order to avoid the stew 2 days, the board of directors asked me to go home for vacation first. After explaining the work, I turned off the computer and went back to my old house. Well, if I face Shen Luang's ugly face again, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself. At that time, ordinary civil lawsuits may become criminal cases. After staying in the old house for a few days, Shen Luang came to the door. I had a bad cold that day and was sitting in the garden with medicine. Su Yang. 6. I looked up a little impatiently. He always affected my interest. Why am I so annoyed with him? Because in my eyes he always twists and squeams. If he loves Song Zi, he will generously tell me that we will forget each other in the future. I'm not the kind of persistent type. I liked him at the beginning and he begged to marry me. A few years before I got married, I lived in a beautiful dream woven by myself. But I also know very well that Song Zi will come back sooner or later. I am an outsider in this love game. It was muddy and I stayed up for 10 years. Now I want to slap myself a few times, and the once beautiful youth has been wasted on him. I have always been introverted, quiet and taciturn. When I saw him, I cherished my words like gold. What's the matter? Seeing that I didn't mean to open the door, he kept knocking on the door. Let me in first, Yang. I reluctantly let him in. All the furnishings in the house came according to my preferences. By the way, he also ordered the incense he hated very much. He covered his nose in disgust. This smells too bad. Mr. Shen, you can go out if you don't like it. He smiled awkwardly. Yang, don't do this. I know you're still angry. I'm here to coax you today. Coax me? I heard it right. The tone is very arrogant. The subtext should be, I've put down my body to coax you. It's better to be interesting. I sneered and said, oh, that's really hard for Mr. Shen. He once said that he hates coaxing women the most. The women he likes are independent and don't need to be coaxed. Later, I also understood that he just didn't want to coax me. Yang, don't talk so hurtfully, okay? I didn't sign the divorce agreement. I won't go through the divorce procedures either. Su Yang, in short, I won't divorce you. I tried to suppress my anger. I was afraid that I couldn't help swearing. For the first time, I felt that my taste was so bad that I actually like such a disgusting man. Mr. Shen, you and Song Zi have rekindled their old love. Why do you still want to pull me? I don't have time to be cannon fodder in your love game. He stepped forward and grabbed my waist with one hand and I broke free. He still didn't give up, continued to chase me and confine me in his arms. Yang, can't you feel it? I have fallen in love with you. I frowned and took a step back. Shen Luang, how do I feel? It was your white moonlight who abandoned you at the beginning and missed the marriage proposal ceremony. Then you took me as a stand-in and proposed to me in order to make her angry. As soon as she came back, she would abandon me as a fake, right? Is this love for me? Shen Luang, I haven't covered your heart for 10 years. Why are you confessing to me here now? I avoided him and wanted to take my hand. Shen Luang, 10 years is enough. I don't want to be delayed by you for the rest of my life. Please go back, Mr. Shen, go back to accompany you, the white moonlight. As soon as the words fell, a figure came in outside the door. The sound of high heels makes my scalp tingle. Song Zi came from smell. As soon as she came forward, she took Shen Luang's hand. Shen Luang did not retreat, and the two of them were very natural. Shen Luang, I know you are in a hurry to make it clear to Miss Su, but it's not that you don't answer my phone. She has a headache today, and there is no one to accompany her if she wants to go to the hospital. Why did you come here? It was hard to blow away a person, but now there is another one. I feel like my head is going to explode. I looked straight at Song Zi and met the strong provocation in her eyes. This is my home, not Shen Luang's territory. If you want to splash, please leave. Song Zi raised his eyebrows and looked at me with a smug face. Su Yang, I've heard about it. You are an orphan girl, and your parents are gone. Can you afford such a big house without Shen Luang? 7. Shen Luang was a little nervous and pulled Song Zi behind his back. But she is still arrogant and unreasonable. I'm the only one in Shen Luang's heart. No matter how capable you are, Su Yang, what can you do? In Shen Luang's heart, you are just a tool. Good. I raised my hand and smiled while clapping my hands. Song Zi, you know something too one-sidedly. Shen Luang probably didn't tell you. This house was left to me by my grandfather, and my grandfather is the secretary of the municipal party committee. Song Zi was stunned and glanced at Shen Luang. Do you think so? What can the secretary of the municipal party committee do? I burst out laughing. It really can't be anything, but it's just to let Shen Luang go into jail and let Shen go bankrupt. I want to see if Shen Luang will still die to him like he does now after he has nothing. Shen Luang's face changed and he pulled Song Zi behind him. Su Yang, don't embarrass her. She doesn't know anything. She is innocent. I sighed. Look, a scumbag is a scumbag and he is still talking for the white moonlight. Seems to be true love. Mr. Shen, if you don't want to eat in prison and don't want to go bankrupt, please get rid of your annoying white moonlight. Oh, by the way, I have sent you the surveillance video on the rooftop last time. Take a good look for yourself. Who should apologize? Hearing the surveillance video, Song Zi was a little panicked. The fox's tail couldn't be hidden, so she was ready to bite back. Shen Luang, don't believe her. Surveillance videos can be forged. Now AI technology is very developed. Song Zi grabbed Shen Luang's sleeve and looked pitiful. Shen Luang looked down, which was right and which was wrong, which should be like a clear mirror in his heart. He turned his face and looked at me with a complicated expression. Su Yang, it's better to forget about such a small matter. She should not have done it on purpose, and you have nothing to lose. I laughed angrily. I lost a lot. Didn't you see how the public opinion on the internet scolded me? Say that I'm just an ugly duckling. And I want to steal the true love of the white swan. You don't want face, I still want it. Well, you ask Song Zi to record a video to clarify everything, apologize to me, and post it on the internet. After saying that, I turned to look at Song Zi and said, how about it? Miss Song, are you satisfied with this solution? Song Jian was arrogant. If I say no, I'm a popular dancer. Why do you want me to apologize to you, an uncontrolled woman? Then you have to ask your brother Lang. I know, let's go first. Song Zi was reluctant to step out of my door under Shen Lang's pull. After they left, my mood was extremely bad. When night came, I had dinner and went out for a walk. Walking alone under the dim yellow street lamp, the past opened in my mind like a movie. At the end of summer, the southeast wind came out some separation, and I couldn't help shivering. Unconsciously, I walked to the bustling street, and there were fireworks in the wind which made me fascinated. I lowered my head and accelerated my speed, trying to avoid the hustle and bustle, so that I would look less sad. For a moment we were in a trance and came to the place where we lived in the first year of our marriage. I looked at the layer of memory that once belonged to us for a long time. That year I didn't dare to mention Song Zi's name. I was afraid that my dream would be broken. That year Shen Lang said that he would be with me for a long time. As a newlywed husband, he is decent. No matter how busy he is at work every day, he will bring me a late-night snack after work. At the same time, I will go to several places to buy my favorite cakes. I looked downstairs quietly for a long time. That I remembered the years when I first got married, when I sat in the new house and thought about the future. Maybe no one will break it, and we may go further. Now that my dream is really broken, I should put away my broken heart. In this life, I will never give my heart to anyone again. In a trance, I burst into tears. It was late at night when I got home. When I took out my mobile phone, there were 12 Shenlangs on Dealan. 8. I called over. Where have you been? Why are you not at home and don't answer the phone? What's the matter with me? I saw my red and swollen eyes on the glass window, so I cleared my throat on purpose. It's okay. I'm just worried about you. I responded tiredly. Don't do such unnecessary things in the future. After saying that, I hung up the phone, and then I heard a sudden knock on the door. Shen Lang glanced at me and was stunned. Have you cried? He has a glimmer of hope in his heart. If I didn't respond, I was surrounded by him. Yang, do you know? I have hoped many times that you could lose your temper and be jealous of me. I wish you could open your mouth and tell me that you love me, and don't want to see me with other women. I didn't say anything and didn't cater to his hug. He stiffly pulled away from his arms and walked back to the room. He didn't say to go back. He lay beside me naturally and we didn't fall asleep. In such a silent and restless night, the sound of breathing made me upset. Shen Lang suddenly sat up. He can't stand my indifference. I'll go to the living room to sleep. You have a good rest. At the moment when he turned around, I pulled his arm uncontrollably. Shen Lang looked at me in shock. I don't know why I reached out and pulled him. It was just that the moment he got up, I felt a burst of fear. The fear spread under his gaze. I feel like I'm really going to lose the man I've loved for 10 years. The 4 eyes were facing each other, and Shen Lang's eyes were shining in the dark. He may want me to keep him, but I never said anything about him. The grievances in my heart continued to magnify and became resentment. The strength in my hand is relieved little by little. The light in Shen Lang's eyes also went out little by little. I ran wild in the desert, but I didn't see the oasis. Early in the morning, Shen Lang also disappeared. When I turned on my mobile phone, I received several push messages. The Weibo hot search exploded. The video of Song Zi's apology to me has paralyzed Weibo several times. I didn't even bother to see it. Jasmine sent me a message to congratulate me on my stage victory. After a while, I found another piece of news on the hot search at the same time. It was the paparazzi who filmed Song Zi meeting a strange man in the middle of the night. I turned around and sent it to Shen Lang. The other side replied indifferently. I already know it. I continued to add. Then do you know that Song Zi's amnesia is also fake? He responded. In the middle of the night, I was sleeping soundly when I suddenly received a call from Shen Lang. Yang, I'm going home. Will you take me home? Listening to the tone, I drank a lot. I was a little annoyed, but I still got dressed and took the car key to go out. I didn't ask him for the address because this kind of scene has happened countless times in the past 10 years. There is only one bar he likes to go to, the one that Song Zi missed the appointment in those years. It is also the place where he proposed to me. Halfway through, I hesitated and called Song Zi to the bar manager. Then drive the car back. I'm so fucking cheap. I'm addicted to being a stand-in. When I got home, the gate was locked, my mobile phone was off, and I continued to sleep. I received Shen Lang's WeChat message early in the morning. Why didn't you come last night? I slept in the bar all night. I had breakfast, had a minute, and replied, "It's not appropriate for me to come." I asked the bar manager to call Song Zi. "What's wrong? Didn't she come to pick you up?" I broke up with her long ago. When she saw this sentence, she suddenly remembered what the paparazzi took that day. She should have disliked that Shen Luang was about to go bankrupt and kept looking for a family. Then we are also broken. Don't bother me in the future. I'm ready to leave after the company's project acceptance. 9. I didn't wait for a reply when this message was sent. But it doesn't matter. I just informed him. A month later, I carried my backpack and began to travel around the world. This is what I have planned for a long time. At first, I was going to let Shen Luang come with me. Only now can one person feel comfortable. Life is inherently lonely. It was also this marriage that made me put down my expectations for others. I no longer pay attention to other people's emotions and no longer consume myself. Men are always selfish and their love is conditional. Just like he said to Song Zi, what he loved was the beauty of being together in his youth. It's not that I love this person. If I really loved her, I would have searched all over the earth to find her. Therefore, loving yourself is the first priority. When the destination arrived in Norway, I was wandering the streets of Oslo. The mobile phone number has been changed, and all the previous social accounts have been cancelled. The incoming call, which had not been ringing for a long time, suddenly rang. Shen Luang may not have thought that he also asked for help one day. The once invincible prince has now become such a field. He blocked Jasmine, my former secretary, several times before he got my mobile phone number. Since I left, Jasmine has become one of my few friends. I love to share the scenery with her, and she is also very happy that I can still miss her. Tell me about Shen Luang's recent movements from time to time. To be honest, I don't really want to hear it, but I can't stop talking about her little mouth. The moment the phone was connected, I didn't expect Shen Luang to be so weak. "Yueguang, where are you? Can I see you for a while?" Shen Luang was sick. He asked me to go back to get a divorce certificate with him and didn't want to drag me down. I went back to my country without saying a word. The temperature has risen faster this year, and the ice and snow world in the south of the city has begun to be demolished and closed. The ice and snow melted in advance, and the whole city also lost its silver. It's only been a few months, but it's like a different world. Shen Luang was much more haggard. I don't know if it was because of his illness. He has always had a family genetic disease, which is also the reason why I have always been reluctant to have children. He was fine. He respected me and didn't want to tie me with children. He said that he had sold Shen's and made sure that it was clean before selling. He calmly handed me a card, which contained what I deserved over the years. He didn't say what the number is. I think it should be a lot. Because it was the weekend, I went home without talking to him and waited for the formalities tomorrow morning. He asked me if I could have dinner with him tonight. He didn't mean to force me, so I agreed. The meal was cooked by the aunt, and he specially invited the previous aunt. It's because I like to eat the food she cooks. In front of the dining table, he said lightly, "Suyang, I haven't seen you for a long time. You should have seen my retribution. This is all what I should bear. I'm really sorry for delaying you for 10 years. He handed me a diary with the caption. I don't know where the love started, but it went deep. The following row of neat small characters is his handwriting. To the ripple. It was recorded after I left, and he laughed that it was his atonement record. Yueguang, before I die, I must sincerely apologize to you. Every word and sentence was heart-wrenching, and I felt a little chill when I heard it. But he still said coldly, Shen Luang. I turned a few pages in front of him, and I couldn't read these words at all. Although, I really don't want to see your thousands of words of confession. 10. If the mirror is broken, it will be broken. Even if it is restored, there will be cracks. Let's just let each other go, okay? I looked up and looked straight at him. I was thinner and even more haggard. There were some bruises at the corners of his mouth. He said it was because I was coming back and fell out of bed excitedly. Suyang, I know that you still have me in your heart. You must still be angry with me, right? His face was pale, and there was no more arrogance between his eyebrows. I'm sorry, Yueguang. Forgive me, okay? I put down my chopsticks and interrupted him. Shen Luang, it's a little late to repent. I know you're afraid of losing me, but when Song Zi appeared, you had already lost me. He apologized to me because Song Zi didn't want him anymore. I have been with him for 10 years, longer than Song Zi has been with him. He is sure that I will be soft-hearted and I will let go of my guard and be with him again. But he was wrong. It was his fault that he was too confident. He thought I would forgive him and give him a chance to explain. 10 years, how many decades are left in life? I won't give him a chance and I won't look back. Facing my heart, I don't want to forgive him. These days I have told myself to move forward bravely and let go of those unbearable and painful things. The moment he and Song Zi were reunited, I knew that we were no longer possible. Yueguang, I'm sorry, I was dizzy for a moment. I couldn't tell what kind of feelings I had for Song Zi. I was confused by her. Love teaches people to get lost and return, and also teaches people to find pain, madness and addiction in hoarseness. After saying that, he dragged his weak body and knelt in front of me. He cried hoarsely like a child who made a mistake, and seemed to be able to say those words over and over again. Forgive me. Forgive me. Don't leave me. The bright moon shines on the green mountains, and the green mountains carry feelings. I once fell into his deep affection again, and gradually forgot the stubborn and unexpected marriage proposal that I hesitated in the twilight. I always insist on his love for me that he has never said. At the end I seem to have won the game of love, but it seems to have lost completely.
Shen Luang extra.
The light and shadow of the memory were burning my soul, and I confused this moment with that night 10 years ago in a trance. I feel something unreal. 10 years ago today I just got married to Su Yang. I never thought that I would share a bed with a woman other than Song Zi. I looked at Su Yang, who buried her head in her arms and slept soundly. She was an introverted girl who spoke very little, but looking at my eyes is very clear like a little girl with aura. At first I was sure that I didn't love her, but in the past 10 years, I have long been used to her getting up and squinting into my arms to be coquettish and ask for a hug. I will hug her and give her a sweet good morning kiss. Life is as plain as ever. I have long forgotten that I used to be the abandoned person. In fact, she should be a little similar to Song Zi between her eyebrows. Because she was young, she was more childish. It was the childishness in my body that aroused my uncontrolled desire for possession and protection. She will wake up at night and call my name. Shen Luang. Out of subconscious protection, I will hold her in my arms as soon as possible. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I don't have a trace of thought, and I am familiar with comfort and protection. Now things are wrong with people. She must hate me. I was in a trance. When I realized there was no one beside me at night. This muscle memory engraved in the bottom of my heart is no longer applicable to our current shaky relationship. Standing on the edge of the cliff without anyone pushing, a gust of wind may take the two to the bottom of the valley. And Song Zi is the gust of wind. I feel upset about what I have done. I didn't expect people to become so fast. Love is also fleeting. The person who I thought I would love for a lifetime chose to abandon me for the sake of my career. Now it suddenly broke into my life, breaking the quiet that belonged to me and Su Yang. One step wrong, step by step wrong. I broke Su Yang's heart, but I got nothing. When I found the true face of Song Zi, I realized that I was wrong. Su Yang disappeared from my world. I tossed and turned every night, panicking, and I finally saw my heart clearly. I'm not used to her by my side, but I really love her. I want to get Su Yang back. I want her to come back to me like crazy, but it's too late after all. She is calm and terrible. When the former little girl grew up, she became open-minded, able to hold and put it down. I want to tell her that I was wrong. The feeling of being held by a cliff is addictive. Looking at her crying red eyes that day, my heart was pulled into a ball. The pain is about to die. Later, I wanted to see her and beg her to come back to me. I tried my best to abandon my dignity, only for the last fight. I heard her say that she didn't want to. I'm also dead. She has grown up and become more mature and neat. She had a bright smile on her face and I was stunned. He swallowed his mouth with too many words. Obviously, you can grow old and watch her continue to be beautiful. A bastard like me doesn't deserve to have such a beautiful girl. Then I wish her a bright and happy future.